I used to think working the night shift was ideal: good pay, fewer people to deal with, and a chance to catch up on some much-needed solitude. But solitude, it turns out, is only peaceful when you're alone, and on that night, I realized I was far from it. My job, security at a tech office building on the outskirts of town. During the day, it buzzed with live people running around, working in their cubicles, meeting in boardrooms. But at night, it was different. I was one of 2 security guards on duty, but our shifts overlapped only briefly, and for most of the night, it was just me and the long, empty hallways. One night, my colleague Frank clocked out earlier than usual, leaving me alone by 11:30 p.m. The halls were eerily quiet, kind of quiet that felt unnatural. Usually, I do my rounds, check the security cameras, and try to pass the time scrolling through my phone. But as I sat at the desk, there was this strange chill. It wasn't cold, no. It was something else, something that crawled up my spine and refused to leave. As I went through the night's logs, something caught my attention on the monitor in the lobby. A dark figure stood near the elevator, but as I looked closer, the figure wasn't there anymore. I leaned in, rubbing my eyes, thinking maybe it was just my mind playing tricks. But then it happened again, this time on the 3rd floor. A quick blur, almost like someone darting past the camera. My hands started to tremble as I switched between the feeds, but nothing was there. It's probably just a glitch, I told myself. Maybe a power surge messing with the system, so I went to check it out. The 3rd floor was darker than usual. The lights were supposed to be motion sensitive, but none flickered on as I stepped into the hallway. The silence was suffocating, my footsteps the only sound breaking it. And that's when I heard it, the faintest whisper. At first, I thought it was the hum of the lights, but no, this was different. It sounded like words, barely audible, like someone was whispering right behind me. "Hello," my voice echoed, but the whispering stopped. I stood there, listening, feeling like prey waiting for a predator to strike. I slowly backed away, trying to convince myself to keep calm. But then I heard it again, that whisper, only louder. It was a voice, faint but pleading, as if it was desperate to be heard.
"Please, help me."
My heart dropped. I couldn't pinpoint where the voice was coming from. It echoed, almost bouncing off the walls, impossible to trace. And then, without warning, the lights started flickering violently, casting distorted shadows along the walls. For a moment, everything was still again. I took a step back, and that's when I saw her. A figure stood at the end of the hallway, shrouded in darkness, just barely visible in the dim light. She was dressed in a hospital gown, her hair matted, eyes hollow and staring right at me. I blinked, and she was gone. I turned, practically sprinting back to my desk. I didn't know what I had just seen, but I knew I wasn't staying another second on that floor. As I reached the main lobby, I noticed something strange on the monitors. Every camera feed was normal except the one in front of the women's restroom. There, in front of the mirror, was that same figure, her face blurred, staring right into the camera. I had heard stories about strange things happening in this building at night. They say a young woman used to work here. She would stay late, working overtime. One night, she collapsed from exhaustion and was found in the bathroom, lifeless. I had heard stories about strange things happening in this building at night. They say a young woman used to work here. She would stay late, working overtime. One night, she collapsed from exhaustion and was found in the bathroom, lifeless. They say her spirit never left, that she roams the halls searching for help, for someone who will listen. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Her figure seemed to grow darker, the blur lifting, her face coming into focus. She looked angry. Suddenly, the screen went black. And then, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps, heavy and slow, coming toward me from the hallway. I froze, my mind racing, every instinct telling me to run, but my body wouldn't move. The footsteps stopped right outside the room. I could feel her presence. She was there, on the other side of the door. The lights flickered again, casting twisted shadows against the wall. A whisper snaked through the silence, louder this time, clearer.
"Why didn't you help me?"
My heart pounded as I backed up, trying to create some distance between me and whatever was outside. Suddenly, the door creaked open, inch by inch, and I could see her standing there, her empty eyes fixed on me. I gasped, stumbling backward, and as I did, I felt a cold hand grip my shoulder. I turned, but there was nothing. The pressure tightened, cold and relentless, as though invisible fingers were pressing into my skin. I broke free, scrambling toward the exit, but no matter how fast I ran, the whispers followed, filling my head, each one more desperate, more tormented. When I finally burst through the main doors and into the cold night air, I felt like I'd escape, but something lingered, a chill that wouldn't leave. And then, as I turned to look back at the building, I saw her, standing by the glass, her hand pressed against it, staring with hollow eyes, watching me leave.